because...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, I was talking to Jason, a pub landlord, and he told me he's heard a rumour about the Prime Minister. Not that one, not that one.
I came here to speak to this man, not your security. You have failed me.
Thank you.
I've been a Labour voter my entire life. You have failed to be the opposition. You have failed to ask whether lockdown was functioning.
Just behind. Can we just
Do you understand?
Why would any leader target the very heart of Britain's culture? It's pubs. That's the question a Tory MP hurled across the Commons, and the moment it landed, Parliament shook. This was no polite exchange. It was a brutal political strike that left Keir Starmer exposed in front of the nation. Because, here's the reality. Under Starmer's watch, the pubs that built Britain's working class backbone are being throttled. Rising taxes, gutted relief, and a wall of indifference have turned survival into a gamble for landlords. Communities are watching their gathering places vanish, and at the centre of it all stands a Labour leader who insists he cares while quietly overseeing their destruction.
He's heard that there is a reason why the Prime Minister hates Britain's pubs. Landlords like Jason are being battered by Labour's jobs tax and the slashing of small business rates relief, meaning that as many as half of Britain's pubs could be closed by 2030. Why does he hate Britain's pubs? And if he doesn't, why is he taxing them into extinction?
Doors are shutting, livelihoods are collapsing, and trust is being shattered. The MP's challenge was simple yet devastating. If Starmer doesn't hate Britain's pubs, then why is he taxing them into extinction? The Tory MP didn't waste time with statistics or policy jargon. Instead, he put a face to the crisis. Jason, a pub landlord, not a banker, not a hedge fund manager, but an ordinary man who runs the kind of pub that has held communities together for generations. Jason represents the millions of small business owners struggling to keep the lights on, while Labour's tax hikes pile on top of them. By naming him, the MP stripped away the distance that Starmer tries to hide behind. This wasn't about theory or spreadsheets, it was about real people crushed under decisions made in Westminster.
Mr. Speaker, nobody likes pubs better than me, and we support them. But, Mr. Speaker, it's the same old nonsense. They say they don't want the national insurance rise, but they don't have the courage to say they'd reverse it, because they know if they said that, they wouldn't be able to say where the money's coming from. That's how we got into the problem in the first place.
And where was Starmer in this story? Not standing beside Jason, not defending the working class, but positioned as the very reason Jason is losing everything. The MP painted a picture of a Labour leader who has drifted away from ordinary Britain, choosing dinners with bankers over loyalty to the communities that once trusted his party. This wasn't an argument about numbers, it was a moral indictment, and it hit hard. Then came the bombshell. The MP warned that under Labour's policies, half of Britain's pubs could be gone by 2030. Not a distant worry, not political exaggeration, but a looming deadline for the survival of Britain's most iconic community hubs. He tied Jason's struggle to the bigger picture. Landlords everywhere are being battered by Labour's jobs tax and the slashing of small business rate relief. The message was clear. This isn't one man's misfortune, it's the collapse of an entire industry under the weight of policies designed in offices far removed from working class life.
I came here to speak to this man, not your security. You have failed me.
Thank you.
I've been a Labour voter my entire life. You have failed to be the opposition. You have failed to ask whether lockdown was functioning.
Just behind. Can we just...
Do you understand?
Shall we go on in?
Thousands of people have died because you have failed to do your job and ask the real questions. Well, I am telling you now, and I hope this goes out, you have failed this country. You have.
They've been on the front line.
The line that cut deepest was simple but devastating. If Starmer doesn't hate Britain's pubs, why is he driving them into extinction? It was a question that electrified the Commons and left the Labour benches squirming. Because it wasn't just a political jab, it was a cultural charge. An accusation that Labour is dismantling the very soul of Britain piece by piece. This moment set the chamber ablaze, turning a debate into an eruption of outrage. The MP reminded Parliament of something easy to overlook. Pubs aren't just bricks and mortar, they are Britain's last surviving community strongholds. There where people gather to celebrate victories, mourn losses, debate politics, and simply share life face to face. In an age of isolation, digital screens, and corporate chains, the local pub remains one of the few places where communities can still breathe together. That's why Labour's tax raid stings so deeply. Every increase in costs, every cut in relief isn't just bad economics, it's cultural vandalism. To bleed pubs dry is to tear at the social fabric of the working class itself.
Keeping people alive. So I really don't need lectures from you about this pandemic.
You've got one.
Why?
Can we come in? Okay.
What are you doing?
Here's the landlord. That man is not allowed in my pub. He's the landlord. I'm not going to physically hurt him. That man. Oi! That's assault. I am not bothering you. I am not bothering him. That man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on.
Calm yourself down.
Get out of my pub.
Calm down. Sorry, can you keep out of the way?
Thank you.
The MP's message landed with force. Starmer isn't simply failing to protect pubs, he is enabling their destruction. Why? Because pubs represent a Britain Starmer no longer seems to believe in. A Britain of community, patriotism and self-reliance. If half of them vanish by 2030, the loss won't only be economic, it will be the obituary of working class unity. The attack grew sharper when the MP turned to Labour's hypocrisy. Starmer's party still claims to stand for working people, but when push comes to shove, they don't defend the pub landlord, they defend the landlord's landlord. The corporate property giants, the multinational breweries, the consultancy firms, those are the ones who walk away unscathed while small businesses drown. The jobs tax in particular was singled out as a quiet but devastating weapon. Instead of encouraging small employers to hire, it punishes them simply for giving people work. In a fragile economy, that's not just poor policy, it's sabotage. Imagine landlords like Jason struggling to keep staff on, only to be penalised for every job they preserve. Meanwhile, big tech, big finance and big pharma enjoy loopholes and favourable treatment. The message was clear. Under Starmer, Britain's small businesses are treated like the enemy, while corporate power is courted and protected.
What's your message to the new government? Do you think they get the kind of rural economy at all?
No, I don't think any of them have set foot outside Kentish Town for the last 35 years. No, they're a hopeless bunch.
So would you invite Keir to your pub, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister?
No, he's banned. He's the first person to be banned. He's actually on a board in the hall. He's banned.
Why? What have you got against him?
Hello? I thought you were running a news operation.
It wasn't only an economic critique, it was an accusation of betrayal, showing how far Labour has drifted from its roots. It was one of the clearest promises Starmer ever made. No new taxes on working people. He said it again and again. No hikes in income tax, no hikes in national insurance, no hikes in VAT. It was his way of reassuring voters that Labour, under his leadership, would be different, that families wouldn't be squeezed any further. But once he stepped into power, that pledge evaporated almost overnight. Stealth tax hikes crept in, national insurance burdens remained, and reliefs that could have protected ordinary people were left to wither. The man who once promised to defend working families quickly became the one piling more weight on their shoulders. The MP framed this as more than a policy reversal. It was a direct act of dishonesty. To win votes with one hand and take them away with the other is not leadership. It's fraud dressed in red. And the cost isn't measured in numbers on a balance sheet, but in nurses watching their pay swallowed by inflation and small business owners shutting their doors for good. This wasn't simply a broken promise. It was proof that trust in Starmer was misplaced from the start.
He hasn't done much to endear himself to me yet. Well, we'll have a look at farming. It all might turn around, you never know. So if I have a pig and I butcher it, or slaughter it and butcher it, and turn it into a sausage, that sausage will cost here 74p. If I buy imported pig meat, make it into a sausage, it's 18p.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Something's wrong with our food system in this country.
The MP pressed the issue further with a question that cut straight to the heart of the matter. Who exactly is Starmer protecting? Because it's clearly not the pub landlord fighting to keep his doors open. It's not the nurse whose paycheck shrinks under bracket creep. It's not the small business owner barely scraping together payroll while costs soar. Those people have been abandoned instead. The ones who thrive under Labour's economic choices are the insiders, the lawyers, the lobbyists, the finance networks that quietly bankroll the party. Every stealth tax preserved, every relief ignored, every loophole left untouched points in one direction. Starmer is more comfortable appeasing corporate donors than defending the very working class voters Labour once claimed to represent. His version of helping the public is nothing more than a press release. His version of justice is silence. Behind the slogans and speeches, his priorities are written in balance sheets, not communities. The message was unmistakable. This Labour Party is no longer the ally of workers. It has become a shield for the powerful. When challenged, Starmer reached for a line that was as hollow as it was awkward. Nobody likes pubs more than me. It was meant to be a quick deflection, a way to show he was on the side of ordinary people. But instead of reassuring, it drew laughter and disbelief. The MP pounced, pointing out the absurdity. If you truly support pubs, you don't oversee policies that make them unprofitable. You don't claim affection while raising the costs that force landlords out of business. Words of love mean nothing when your actions bleed the very places you pretend to cherish. For Starmer, this moment exposed more than hypocrisy. It revealed how out of touch he has become. He doesn't understand the communities that depend on pubs, and worse, he doesn't seem interested in learning. His version of leadership is saying what people want to hear while doing the opposite once the cameras are off. It wasn't just weak, it was insulting to those fighting for survival. The Tory MP didn't stop at pubs. He turned the spotlight on Starmer's wider pattern. A leader who cannot hold a position for more than a week. One day he pledges loyalty to working class Britain, the next he abandons them in favour of corporate donors. One day he promises tax protection, the next he quietly raises the burden through the back door. It's not leadership, it's survival through spin. Every time public opinion shifts, so does Starmer's stance. The MP hammered the point. A man who governs by focus group isn't guided by principle, but by fear of losing support. That's why he can say he loves pubs on Monday while taxing them into extinction by Friday. And for communities like Jason's, that inconsistency is deadly. Small businesses don't need a politician who changes his mind with the wind. They need certainty, relief, and a plan to survive. Starmer offers none of that. This wasn't just about economic policy anymore. It was about exposing a hollow core at the centre of Labour's leadership. The MP then widened the attack, pulling out a list of Starmer's pledges that have already been abandoned. Tuition fees scrapped? Gone. Rail nationalisation? Dropped. Free school meals for every child? Forgotten. Even his flagship green investment plans have been quietly slashed. It was a devastating catalogue of betrayals. Starmer campaigned as if he would carry forward Labour's old spirit, presenting himself as the man who would protect ordinary families and rebuild public trust. But once he had the leadership secured, those promises evaporated, one by one. The contrast was sharp. A leader who once echoed Jeremy Corbyn's rhetoric now governs more like a cautious intern of Tony Blair. To many, it feels like a bait and switch. Win power with bold pledges, then quietly retreat into establishment politics when it matters most. The MP's argument was clear. If Starmer can abandon his biggest promises so quickly, why should anyone believe what he says about protecting pubs, jobs, or working families today? By this point, the chamber was buzzing. The MP's final blow wasn't about taxes or policy lines. It was about trust itself. Once broken, trust cannot be stitched back together with slogans or carefully staged photo ops. And that's exactly where Starmer has failed. Working class Britain didn't vote for stealth tax hikes disguised as responsible budgeting. They didn't vote for sky-high energy bills or for pubs to vanish from their streets. They voted for honesty and leadership. What they got instead was a man who said one thing in opposition and delivered the opposite in power. The MP painted a bleak picture: communities betrayed, livelihoods destroyed, promises tossed aside. And at the heart of it all, a Labour leader who no longer resembles the man voters thought they were choosing. The message was unmistakable. Starmer has lost the moral contract with the public. And once that bond is gone, no amount of spin can save him. The exchange ended with a brutal reality check. Starmer could claim he loves pubs all he wanted, but love doesn't pay the bills. Affection doesn't stop closures. Empty words don't protect the communities now hanging by a thread. The MP's message echoed beyond the chamber. Britain's working class deserves more than hollow promises and political theatre. They deserve leaders who will fight for their survival, not sell them out to corporate donors and special interests. And so the question was left hanging. Should Starmer at least admit he despises pubs rather than hiding behind spin? Or better yet, should voters admit they've had enough of a leader who governs with excuses instead of conviction? Now, it's over to you. Do you believe anything Keir Starmer says anymore? Can he ever win back the trust he's already shattered? Tell us what you think in the comments below. If you want more unfiltered breakdowns of British politics, hit like, share this video and subscribe to the channel. We'll keep exposing every twist, every betrayal and every fight that shapes the future of this country.